welcome you in this video regarding the diagnosis of SARS coronavirus 2. This is the second part of our video series. Today we are going to discuss the RT-PCR of viral RNA as a particular method of diagnosis. Now, the complete diagnosis discussion of coronavirus I have divided into the 5 different videos. We have already done the first video which dealt with the different optional methods for the diagnosis of coronavirus. Please see in the list the first video, and today we are going to discuss the second video which is regarding the RT-PCR of coronavirus. As explained in my first video, there are two approaches for the diagnosis of any virus disease. The direct approach, in this case the direct approach of coronavirus diagnosis, will detect the virus RNA by the method of RT-PCR. The indirect approach is going to detect antibodies produced by the human body against this virus that we shall discuss in our next video. Before we can discuss the RNA detection, let's see the structure of coronavirus. As you can see here, the coronavirus is a spherical virus, and you can compare this structure visualization with a tennis ball cut into the half. So the inside of tennis ball here is in sky blue color. Now this entire blue thing is a phospholipid membrane. So the virus is covered in a phospholipid membrane. However, the outer side of phospholipid membrane is not smooth. There are plenty of proteins on the surface, outer surface of the membrane, most predominantly the spike proteins. But besides the spike proteins, there are other proteins, envelope proteins, minor proteins, which are also present on the surface of the membrane. Now, inside the virus membrane, there is what we call the nucleocapsid. Now, the nucleocapsid is nothing but nucleic acid, which for any virus is either DNA or RNA. In our case, it is RNA, together with proteins, the capsid made up of proteins. In this illustration, the proteinaceous part is shown as the red color, while the RNA part is shown as the yellow color. So this yellow color RNA, which is within the membrane of coronavirus structure, this is what we are going to detect. But first step essentially will be to bring this RNA out of the membrane. So breaking the virus, what we call lysis, is always the first step. And then the RNA has to be detected by the appropriate method. But before I can discuss the RT-PCR of coronavirus RNA, a quick reminder to what PCR actually is. So PCR is a technique which is usually performed on a double-stranded DNA molecule of interest. In the first step of the PCR cycle, the temperature to the DNA solution is increased above the 90 degrees centigrade. As a result, the two strands of DNA shown here in the green-blue color of two lines, those two lines will be separated because the hydrogen bonds holding the two strands together are melted due to high temperature, and the two strands of DNA will be separated. Then the next step, the temperature is decreased and small pieces of DNA oligonucleotides, what we call primers, which are already there in the system, that will bind with the separated DNA strands. The primers here are shown in the green color. So the short pieces of DNA, what we call primer, will bind to the target DNA in a sequence specific manner. Now why sequence specific manner? Because binding of primer to the DNA must follow what we call the Watson and Crick base pairing rule. So the green colored short pieces of primer cannot bind to the DNA until though their sequences are complementary. In other words, we design the primer in such a way that they will bind to the DNA of specific sequence only. In this case, we'll design the primer in such a way that the short primer piece will only bind to the DNA which is of SARS coronavirus origin. Any other DNA of any other virus will not be binding with the primer. The further steps will not be possible and you will not have any PCR product. PCR products will be only then where the primers will bind with the virus specific, in this case SARS coronavirus 2 specific DNA. So when we are having PCR product, the test is positive. When we don't have PCR product, the test is negative. That is the second step, binding of primers to the separated DNA strands. For this, temperature is reduced from 90 degrees centigrade to, say for an example, 55 degrees centigrade. In the third step, the temperature is increased from 55 degrees centigrade to 72 degrees centigrade, and the enzyme which is synthesizing new DNA, in case of PCR it is mostly dark DNA polymerase, will elongate those small piece of primers to the full stretch of DNA. So the small green color pieces, as you can see here, now they will become the full strand of DNA. So when we started with one molecule of DNA, at the end of this 3-step cycle, we are now having 2 molecules of DNA. Remember, these three steps constitute one PCR cycle. Then what we do, the temperature will be again increased at 94, then it will be decreased at 55 in order to again allow the binding of primers to the separated DNA. Then it will be increased to the 72 again to synthesize the stretch of DNA. So this 3-step cycle will be followed again and again. So that's why the name polymerase chain reaction. So when we perform this chain reaction, in the second cycle we will have 4 DNA molecules. In the third cycle we will have 8 DNA molecules, and say we have done 30 cycles of PCR reaction, then we'll have around 10 raised to 9 copies of DNA molecule starting from the only one copy of DNA molecules. And remember, all this will happen only when our primers will bind to the DNA. And primer will not bind with any DNA. Primer will only bind with a DNA of certain sequence. In this case, primers are so selected that they will only bind with the SARS coronavirus 2 DNA. But the problem is that the SARS coronavirus 2 is only having RNA and PCR is done using the DNA. So first we need to convert the RNA available with the SARS coronavirus into the DNA. Now this reaction is achieved by specific modification of regular PCR, what we call the RT-PCR. In RT-PCR, the enzyme besides dark DNA polymerase is having another enzyme, that is what we call the reverse transcriptase. The job of reverse transcriptase is to synthesize DNA out of RNA. Now in this case, see the first, at the uppermost part of the figure, we are only having a single stranded RNA molecule. Then this single stranded RNA molecule binds with short piece of primer shown here in green color. Again, the binding of green color primer to the RNA is sequence specific. So this primer will only bind to certain RNA molecules. Then the enzyme reverse transcriptase will synthesize DNA strand, here shown in green color, for the blue colored RNA. And then a second strand of DNA will be synthesized, and now we will have DNA out of the RNA. And then this DNA will be subjected to the regular PCR by the process explained in earlier slide, and we'll have out of one small piece of RNA we can have as many as 10 raised to 9 different pieces of DNA. This large amount of DNA is then detected. In this case, the DNA detection is carried out by another version of PCR, what we call qPCR. The small q here stands for quantitative PCR. In normal PCR, if you are having the multiple DNA product, the large amount of DNA product, then that means that the specific sequence in our sample was present, positive result. If you do not have any DNA amplified, that means your primers have not attached to the DNA, that means their sequences are absent in DNA, there is negative result. Now when you are only getting the information of positive result or negative result, the process becomes qualitative. But if you are able to know how much product is made, then the process becomes quantitative. Now here we can do that, and that's why the PCR is known as quantitative PCR or qPCR. But how that is achieved? So in qPCR, besides having the two primers, we call them forward primer and reverse primer, shown here in the red color, the target DNA is shown in the black color. Besides these two primers, there is an extra probe shown here in the purple color. Now this extra probe is binding to the target DNA again in a sequence specific manner. So the forward primer will only bind to the one strand of DNA if the particular sequence, coronavirus sequence is there. The reverse primer will bind to the another strand of DNA only if a certain SARS coronavirus 2 sequence is there. And again, the probe, purple color probe, will bind to the DNA if there is a sequence. Now once all these things have bind, and once we bring the temperature to 72 degrees centigrade, which is the temperature for the reaction, then the enzyme Taq polymerase will carry out the DNA synthesis on the primer, the red color primer. But how we can find out how much of DNA is made? So the probe, purple color probe, on its 5' end is bound with a fluorescent dye labeled here as R. On the 3' end, the same probe is bound with another dye which is known as quencher. The job of quencher is that it will not allow the dye R to release the fluorescence when it is nearby. So when in the upper figure the dye R and quencher Q are together with the purple color probe, there is no signal from the dye R. Now as enzyme Taq polymerase will synthesize new DNA from the primer, it will move ahead and it will come close to the probe, and then the enzyme will start nibbling away, eating away the probe one nucleotide at a time. This is because the 5', 3' exonuclease activity in the Taq polymerase enzyme. Now once the probe is destroyed, the dye R is now free away from the quencher and the signal starts. So you will have the signal from the dye when the probe is broken. When the probe is broken, and the enzyme performs synthesis. So more the synthesis, more the liberated dye, higher the signal. So we can see the signal in a recorder which will check the fluorescence and will plot a graph of fluorescence. As the cycle of PCR moves ahead, there will be more and more fluorescence, and can see it on the graph. Because we can see the product not at the end of process but when the process is continued. At times this is also known as so with the coronavirus detection, the first step always is collection of the specimen, which is usually performed using a sterile swab. So the swab is used to collect the virus specimen from the patient. Then the virus is destroyed and the RNA present within the virus is brought out. Then we perform the reverse transcriptase reaction, the RT-PCR reaction, to convert that RNA into the DNA, that is here shown in the step number 2. And then we perform the qPCR reaction using this DNA, and the small amount of DNA made from the RNA by RT-PCR reaction will now be increased, amplified. This amplification will release more and more dye signal, and in the fourth step you need to just see that what is the fluorescence signal. Now fluorescence signal beyond a ground level, what is known as threshold, is known as the positive reaction, and the fluorescence signal less than the threshold will be termed as the negative reaction. For sampling the viruses, as I said earlier, sterile swabs are used. Now the swabs can be used to collect the virus sample either from the nasopharynx part or from the oropharynx part as shown here. We do not have sufficient data to conclusively say which of the method gives good result, and so both can. In our state, in our country, mostly the oropharynx samples are collected. See the person who is collecting the sample, because you are dealing with a virus, a patient is a potential source of the virus. The person who is collecting the specimen should have all the personal protective equipments PPE, including gloves, a PPE suit, N95 mask, and goggles. In some cases, the person who is taking the sample is increased by having a glass barrier between the person who is collecting the sample and the patient. But if there is a glass barrier in between, then how the person from the other side of glass will collect the specimen? So the glass barrier is having yellow colored gloves as shown here fixed with the glass. So and that will have the glass will have orifice there and it will be glued sealed with the glass. So the person who is collecting the specimen will insert his hands through the gloves and then they can collect the swab specimen. Once the collection is done, then another health worker will sanitize the entire thing, and this is how the swab samples once collected are sent to the laboratory not directly, but the swabs are submerged, dipped in a solution what we call the transport media. Here in the tubes, the pink color transport media can be seen. So swabs once collected with the specimen, they are inserted to the transport media and then in the ice box, these tubes having transport media with RNA containing or virus containing swab are sent in an ice box to the laboratory. Once in the laboratory, the first step is extraction of RNA out of viruses, and for that the virus has to be broken. Now, lysis of virus is achieved in a test tube where the specimen transport media is added by addition of what we call the lysis buffer. The job of lysis buffer is to break the membrane and release the RNA out of the membrane. Besides having the lysis buffer, the test tube is also having very small spherical beads which are magnetic in nature added to it. And there is what we call the binding buffer which will encourage binding of only nucleic acid, in this case only RNA, to the magnetic bead. So whatever RNA is released by breaking the virus will bind with the very small spherical beads which are magnetic in nature on the surface of it. The next step, the tube is placed on a device where the magnetic field can be activated. So once we activate the magnetic field, all the beads which are having RNA will come to the wall of tube and you can remove the spent lysis buffer and the binding buffer. So now tube is empty, but the beads will have some sort of impurities. So we will add wash buffer to just wash the beads. The magnetic field is turned off, beads are coming to the solution into the wash buffer, and then you can again turn on the magnetic field. The beads are again coming to the wall and the spent wash buffer is then removed. Once the beads are washed, now they are having only pure RNA. The RNA is collected from the beads by adding a buffer which will break the weak bonds between the magnetic beads and the RNA. This buffer is known as elution buffer. Once you add elution buffer, purified RNA will come to the solution which are needed for the extraction of RNA. That means the lysis buffer, the binding buffer, the washing buffer, the magnetic microbeads are available as a part of a ready-to-use kit. Now, how the RNA is converted to the DNA? So the SARS coronavirus 2 RNA, complete RNA, we call it genome, is around 29,000 nucleotides long, and not this complete length is used to make the DNA because PCR has got a size limit. So only certain part of this genome is used for the DNA conversion. Now here the green colored part is what we call structural genes which are making the structure of virus. The white colored part are what we call the non-structural genes which will make non-structural proteins. Most laboratories use nucleocapsid gene N labeled here as one of the target. In some cases, the white colored ORF1 open reading frame 1, which is having many non-structural proteins. So NSP14, non-structural protein 14, which is technically an exonuclease, an exo-RNA ribonuclease, is used for the detection. In some cases, NSP12, which is technically an RNA-dependent RNA polymerase RDRP, is also used. So either of these three genes, either ORF1 NSP14 or RDRP and the N gene, that is nucleocapsid gene, either of these three are used to detect the RNA. And remember that is specificity is maintained by selecting the sequence of PCR primers. Just recall the qPCR image. We are adding three things: the forward primer, the reverse primer, and the probe, which is having fluorescent dye. So here is an example of an assay. The upper assay is used to detect non-structural protein 14 from open reading frame 1b. This is the first assay. The second assay is targeting nucleocapsid gene. Now just see the probe. In both the cases, the probe at 5' end is joined with what is labeled here as FAM. There is nothing but a dye 6-carboxy fluorescein. On the 3' end, probe is having TAMRA, which is nothing but a quencher, that is tetramethylrhodamine. So these two are the dual labels with the probe, and the two primers, gene specific primers, are used. Now how by a qPCR system? The qPCR system shown here is from a company called Applied Biosystems. The model is 7500 fast. This is something which is recommended by ICMR in India and WHO in general. This is most widely used qPCR system. Now in this qPCR system, as you can see, there is an open tray where you can place the microvel tray having 96 samples at one go. So you can run 96 PCR cycles at one go. However, because we need to have multiplication of the same sample, because we need to have negative controls and positive controls, the exact number of samples are less than 96. Then the machine will run the up and down temperature cycles for the PCR, and finally the dyes by the machine. Now the dye signal, when seen in terms of plot, it is known as amplification plots. This is an example of amplification plot of RT-PCR. Nowadays, in order to process very large number of samples, a more advanced system is also available than Applied Biosystems 7500 fast, is what is known as Roche Cobas 8800 system. The advantage of this system is that this system is a fully integrated, fully automated system where the transport media in the test tube is directly to be placed in a rack. Barcoding of the tubes, RNA extraction from the sample, RT-PCR, qPCR, and reading, everything will be performed automatically in an enclosed system. So you need not to manually extract RNA. You need not to perform PCR separately. One system will perform everything. Advantage that it is highly accurate, it is specific for the SARS coronavirus 2, and it can process as many as 1056 samples in a cycle of 8 hours. So this is a more high throughput system. Fortunately, India is also having these systems. So this is how we are performing RT-PCR diagnosis of SARS coronavirus 2. In our next lecture, we will see how the indirect approach of antibody detection is performed.